right now. This is our kind of our test tonight, where we want to talk to you guys and learn a little bit more about the audience that's out there. Jill's here too, someplace.
Can we see you? Is your camera on?
She's trying to
They won't
log
let
in.
me in. Why can't we see you?
I don't know. Where's the chat? Where's the
Oh, so this is the way it works. It takes a while for the chat to build up. I can see the chat is building here. You got 2 people logged in, a couple thumbs up. So
There's no picture.
Okay.
I put makeup on.
Copy link. Jill put makeup on for this even, which is amazing. But you guys, greetings from Mount St. Helens.
There you go. See, they're logging in.
Okay. We're experiencing this. So we are super interested in Mount St. Helens. And I need to send this link.
It says I'm not allowed. So I'm just gonna sit in with Brett.
Of course Jill's not allowed.
Typical.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just sit in with us then. Bigfoot Art Gallery. Hey there, Rob Roy Menzies. Awesome. It's good to have you on there.
It's good to see you, sort of. Although we can't see you, we can see your name.
I have the crow I purchased at your art gallery hangs. Well, if I could have gotten my live stream to work, you would have seen it prominently in the background.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to watch the new film yet, Rob? Roy? Sorry. We've been drinking some holiday cocktails.
Uh-oh.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Toe is the sober one here. I'm just kidding, you guys. We're totally sober. Deep Woods, Washington State. Cool. So we've got like a Northwest thing going on. Rob Roy, you're going to want to find it on Vimeo. So it's vimeo.com/on-demand/paranormal Bigfoot. And I can put that in the chat here real quick, I think.
Hey, Brett, can they just go to Linktree and type in Linktree a Flash of Beauty?
Yeah.
Go to Linktree and type in Flash of Beauty to find it. And you guys, we're working on Amazon. It has been approved for Amazon, but we don't know when it's going to go live on Amazon. So we apologize for the delay. We feel horrible, and yeah. It's a long story, and if any of you have been watching, we haven't been speaking publicly about this, and we're not going to get into the gritty details, but if any of you have been watching James Fox,
I'll get into the gritty details.
Of course Jill will. All of us at 1091 are having problems getting compensated for our films, and so we're having to take legal action, so on and so forth, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But suffice to say, we are anxious to get the movies back out and, accessible to folks so you guys can watch the films. Yeah. What's everybody else up to out there tonight? Anything good? Any leftover turkey for us?
It's a hot Monday night.
Absolutely.
So, Tobe, I'm just going to rope you. We're just going to figure this out live. So, Brett and I were going over the roster of interviews on who to post next and the delay. Because some people are a little bit more heavy-handed in the sequel versus the first film or vice versa. So, did you want to chime in at all? I mean, we just posted Peter Byrne. People really seem to be receptive to that and enjoying what he has to say. I think we were actually Peter's last real official interview.
I think so.
Yeah. And we can ask the audience out there too. I mean, based on what we're doing right now, you guys, is we're posting interviews from the first film, full-length interviews from the first film, because obviously if we posted from the second film, we would be giving some story plots away. We want you to be excited, and we want it to be fresh when you see it. So does anybody else have any thoughts on who they would like to see next as far as our interviews are concerned?
I'll get the list.
Yeah, Jill's got the list. She's going to check it twice to see if you're naughty or nice.
Yeah.
It all counts. Pacific Northwest prepper. The turkey came off the smoker about an hour ago.
Ooh.
Oh.
We
You're not too far from us, buddy. We might be knocking on your door late tonight.
Leave a plate fixed for
Yeah.
us.
Leave a plate for Squatch.
Okay.
And for Brett and Jill and Tobe.
Okay. Official business.
Okay.
So we've already posted. So we had Stan Avery, Jeff Meldrum, Stuart Love, Henry Franzoni, and just yesterday, Peter Byrne.
Right.
Here's the in no order. We got Ron Moorhead, Scott Nelson, Jeff Rohn, and that's mostly his interviews. Mostly about he had just had a sighting 2 days before in Idaho. Joe Beelart. It's a great interview. I listened to the Joe one about a week ago. Beelart. Amy Boo, Todd Neese. We actually have 2 interviews of Todd Neese. Diane Stocking. We have 2 interviews. We'll space those out. Chad and Austin. And if you don't remember Chad and Austin, they were the 2 guys who were down at the lake at the Oregon-California border who had this tremendous experience. And we only featured part of it in the movie because part 2, after the sighting, things go sideways. They decided after having the sighting, they're like, we'll go ahead and we'll spend the night up here and we'll camp. And it did not go according to plan. And it sounded like an ultimate nightmare. And we cut out a chunk, but then we had the story about Chad's wife coming to pick them up and never seen them, so scared and stuff. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happened in between that was not cool. Mel, of course, Mel was featured in the first film and the second film, so maybe we'll move him later. Michael Adams, Dr. Michael Adams, Doug Meacham. I'm going to hold off on that one. Rich Germo, which the holidays are coming up. We all need a dose of
Rich in our stocking.
Vitamin R.
Yeah.
Larry Turner. He had amazing stuff to say, but of course we only use one story. Farouk Muhammad had some amazing stuff. We do feature him in the sequel, but a lot of what he has to say, you don't think it'll give anything away.
Who?
Farouk?
No. I think no. And Farouk was an amazing interview that we wanted to use a lot more of because of his analytical mind and his data-driven mind and research. I mean, he's got his master's in computer data research. I mean, the guy is literally a genius, and just the way he thinks really, really clicks with us and the research community. So I think Farouk's interview is really going to be amazing.
And just to dovetail on that, Scott Tompkins of the Bigfoot Mapping Project.
Absolutely.
Fantastic interview. Mark Parker, one of my favorite interviews, the hunter who would not go back into the woods after his sighting. He quit hunting and he did eventually return, but he's like, no, I'm done. Not my thing.
We have a comment that says never get tired of Rich. And you know what, Davy Jones Locker, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Rich is an amazing guy. He's brilliant. He's former law enforcement, as he says a few times in the interview. And, he was good at his job when he was a law enforcement officer. And he's really done a really nice job on his Sasquatch research. And there were so many great moments that we left on the cutting room floor because of the time. And so I think that really, of all of the interviews, Rich is definitely a top 5.
I'm raising my hand for attention here. And I was fighting up to the very end of the sequel for us to do a recreation of one of Rich's stories about one night when he is coming home after patrol and just the logistics and the time.
Wait, stop.
Oh, God.
You're giving it all away.
No, I'm not. I'm just, hear me out. You'll hear it in the posted interview, but it was just so freaking mind-blowing. And we even we tried to figure out okay, location. Oh, we could shoot it here at that place in Vancouver, Washington, and
Hmm.
okay, oh, it's summer, so certain plants were in bloom that were critical to the blah 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 of the story. But it was too much. It was just it would have extended the movie another 15-20 minutes.
Right.
But
And with that, we've been doing all the talking, and Tobe
I got one more
has
thing to
been
say.
gesturing and not saying anything, and he needs a soapbox here.
I just want to
No.
say we have who I didn't mention. I was saving the best for last because I was telling Brett we should time this for the Friday going into Christmas weekend. Daryl Wilson
Oh,
and his daughter Rachel. Merry Christmas.
mind's blown.
Working on that. Yeah. Tobe, what's new in your world?
Man, we got home a couple hours ago from the little town of Chehalis, home of Errol Wolfnussen, who used to live out that way, who's also in part 2 of the documentary, and went through plenty of Bigfoot habitat. In fact, we went past what looked to be a couple of red gates near the Hood
Oh,
Canal Bridge. Now, these were old, and we should probably tell people there's a podcast associated with A Flash of Beauty. And so, all of these guests that you're meeting here that Brett had on the cutting room floor, and when you edit out stuff, Brett, it's akin to killing the babies, right? That's a term of endearment, really, of all your work. You're like a father of these little children that you're interviewed and filmed, and you have to sacrifice, say, oh, only a percentage of your work is going to make it on screen.
yeah.
And
Kill your darlings. That's what we call it
kill
in the movie business. Killing your darlings. Yeah.
killing your darlings. I guess that's less harsh than killing babies. So killing the darlings there, and
Yeah.
so much of this stuff is now going to be available to you. But if you want to pick up on it, there's a podcast associated with it. Um, Brett, Jill, something has happened to the algorithms, to the fact that when Henry Franzoni came on scene with his interview of these edited footage, this channel picked up in a way that was noticeable to all of us. And it continues to do so. And I think it has to do with the fact that because this was before the coast to coast interview, this started to happen, correct?
Pardon? Sorry.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
We were
the
doing a
number,
handoff.
Yeah.
yeah, the numbers picked up before coast to coast. So you're in a new algorithm of some kind that's being spread probably by somebody else who may be borrowing the channel to spread this message.
Well,
Um, Go ahead.
I do want to say, I do want to give a big thanks to Josh Turner over at Paranormal Roundtable for, we
Okay.
made a post about we were trying to get to just get over that hump and get to 1,000 viewers,
Right.
and he promoted to his viewers and on his Facebook pages and whatnot. So he kind of he was kind of the push right when
Hmm.
Henry was going and stuff, and it was a
Right.
perfect storm. So I want to give credit where credit's due. So
But Henry is a force, and there's something that people have been waiting for that Henry can deliver. It takes a while for Henry to get to the meat of what a lot of people want to hear. But if you're patient enough, you can get there with a guy like Henry. And he's a musician on top of it, so he's looking at life in a whole different way as a musician. And there seems to be some cross connect between music and Bigfoot. Um, and it all has to do with the frequency of drumming, and Henry gets into that a little bit, and I think it surprises a lot of people that there is a deep connection. But um, that gets into a whole can of worms about land spirits and what land spirits are, and what Bigfoot may be. So Henry goes down that road, and the numbers right now for Henry have gone from, I think it was 5,000 within a couple of days to now 12 to 13,000 within less than 5 days, which was kind of unheard of for our channel before he got on there. So you know, bless that man.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Yes. We're back. I got a stack of whoop. Oh, there's our computer. I've got a stack of books and I've got a tripod on my phone.
Hmm.
And I was attempting to give our arms a rest, but now we just look weird. So
this is our upper body workout.
this is our first like live chat, you guys. So you'll have to
I'll talk.
forgive us. Yeah.
I think it's
Um,
adorable that the camera's panning back and forth. It adds personality to the stream.
it kind of does, sort
Mhm.
of, I guess, in a weird way.
You need a
Or
lazy Susan. We need to get you like
Just
a,
spin
a
it
full
around.
on lazy Susan. Yeah.
we need to be able to add other viewers in the chat or other connections. But the truth is that Jill is far better looking than I am. So we'll keep it on
Uh,
Jill a little bit more.
uh,
That's a
there you go,
fact, by the
Jill.
way.
Brett's been drinking.
That's a fact. No.
So
Yeah.
So
What?
anywho,
Mhm,
yeah, Henry Franzoni. I'm just so glad that so many people are hearing his interview and that he's kind of
mhm,
come out the woodwork again. And
mhm,
I was just talking to Henry and I've been messaging recently, and we're just talking about have fun. Life is short. Enjoy yourself. If this is what you're, go out there with what you have to say.
mhm,
And like what we've learned in the short time that we've been involved actively in this community is that everyone, it's like the whole thing. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has other things too. Um, but you're always gonna irritate someone.
mhm,
But you're always gonna. It's awesome to see so many people on Henry's his post for his interview, how many people are like, thank you, oh, this is great, and like are
mhm,
really connecting with him, who otherwise didn't really know who he was
mhm.
and whatnot. So that's fun. And I'm really excited about posting the full interviews for everyone else because,
Yeah.
like I said, there's so much stuff that's left on the floor.
Yeah. So you guys, part of the reason we're doing this is because I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan, and back after Schindler's List came out in 1994, Spielberg realized the value of going and collecting interviews of all of the Holocaust survivors. I think they ended up interviewing like 52,000 people that had survived the Holocaust because they were all old or getting there, and they wanted to preserve those interviews and leave them for future generations, years from now, hundreds of years from now, whatever, to listen to those stories that would have been lost to time. And that's the whole point by us putting these interviews out, is that, I mean, it's like Peter Byrne, Henry, all of these guys. We've got so many more coming up, like Rich and Ron Moorhead. These interviews are for you. These interviews are for the public. We would be doing a disservice to the Bigfoot community to leave this information out. Now, granted, some of the stuff is stuff you've heard before, and or you could read in some of the books that they've done, but hearing them say it themselves is so important.
The look in their eyes,
The look in their
the
eyes,
tremble in
the
the
cat
voice.
on their shoulder,
Yeah, and I want to
Mhm.
say, let's talk. Can we talk about the cat for a second? Because David Mitchell just brought
Yes.
that up.
Hey, we've got a viewer from Iceland. Hello there from Iceland,
Yeah.
or
Be
hello from
safe.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How's the volcano, Sonia? Have you felt any earthquakes or anything? But you want to talk about the cat?
I always want to talk about cats.
Okay.
So yeah, well, so we're doing the interview with Henry, and what was the situation? He had just recently moved in. He was still unpacking. We're out on his property. He's out in the country. This is on. It's close to the Columbia River. It's on the Washington side. Was it Longview technically?
Longview, yeah, just outside of Longview.
Beautiful, beautiful area. And we set up doing this interview and we start talking about if you've listened to the interview, if Sasquatch can communicate with animals or can impact them. And like right on cue, out of nowhere, out of the trees, doo, 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 comes this little black kitten. And we're like, oh, where'd you come from? And Henry hadn't seen the cat before. He assumed it was the neighbors, but it was pretty far away from home, from where the house was. This cat was like just an active participant. It was jumping on him, crawling all over him. We have behind the scenes photos uh, that were just hilarious of like the cat on an apple box, which is basically just a wooden box. You stand, it's like a step stool, basically, in the film world. but it's on the Apple box, leaning over on the tripod. It actually, you know what? Do you remember it jumped in my car? We had
Yes,
the window down.
we got photo proof.
It jumped in the car, and I was like, "Oh, I guess we have another cat." That
Mm.
was vetoed quickly. But yeah, choreography, coincidence, I don't know. We also had similar stuff happen with Sonia Zohar when we interviewed her. She's like, I have a thing with animals.
Mm-hmm.
Animals and me are like this. And we had so many strange animal things happen during her interview. You can talk
Yeah,
about that
and
a little.
and spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen the paranormal Bigfoot yet, we talk about we talked to Sonia about her cats, and her cats were her world. They were her fur babies, if you will. And and I found this little thing. We were at Daryl's house, we're in the driveway, and I found this little, I don't even know what it was. It was like a thick disc or something with a black cat on it. And so here we are with this black cat, and these cats of Sonia's that were her life had passed away recently, and she was still broken up about it. And then we get this black cat that shows up to Henry's interview. So and obviously there's the superstition associated with black cats. So I don't know. I mean, you guys, it was really interesting, and the cat was obviously overly friendly, you know. And just so you guys know, you do see edits in these interviews, but we're editing out the dry air, or somebody coughing,
Airplanes, lots of
airplanes, or pauses, or questions, or anything else. There's nothing that we are cutting out of these interviews that, we're not censoring them per se. We're just kind of letting them flow. We're just cutting out the boring bits, if you will.
Well, to be fair, and we won't see these interviews for a while. Where did we go? Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
There are two occasions probably coming up when we start releasing the sequel interviews where the interview kind of gets wobbly and they say, I can't, like, cut the camera, or I got a story off camera. And then we kill everything. And then we hear these crazy stories. And then we have to, like, okay, next question, and like get back to normal and try not to lead it back to the story we just heard. So that is
Jill,
all I
on
can.
that point is, or Brett, when the cameras went off, one of the interviews you put up 3 weeks ago was with ODFW Stuart Loves, who is a guy that knows about wildlife in Oregon. In fact, it's his job. Can we talk a little bit about Stuart Love and make, jumping off the point that you just talked about, Jill, about when the cameras go off? Is
Yes,
that public knowledge?
we love Stuart, by the way.
Hmm.
What would you like to talk about?
Well, when the cameras go off, what I'm used to as someone who's an authority and can't talk about certain things, um, it's easier to debrief people on what they really know. Was that the case with Stuart Love? Did you feel more comfortable when the cameras went off? Not that you have to say what he said, but was that your experience with him?
Um, Stuart was great. He was very,
Hmm.
he was that was a great interview. It was very informative. When the cameras went off, there was he was like, kind of, because we had all our stuff in the building, and we're moving. It's just me, Brett, and Mike, schlepping all this gear, and I think he was holding the door for us because we were there after hours or something, and we were talking about other, like, shows and stuff, and he had a vast knowledge of other websites and podcasts that spoke of
Of such
Bigfoot
things.
cryptids,
Right.
stories and podcasts.
which was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll butt in here. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain kind of body language that people have, and if you go back and watch Stewart's interview, he's like on the straight and narrow. He's very astute and prim and
Hmm.
proper, and he is representing the state of Oregon and the
Hmm.
government, and he knows that body language will communicate. Okay, and he's doing that on purpose. It's a poker face, maybe, but yes, things did change after the camera went off. We heard some things from Stan Avery about Stuart Love, but I can say this much: that area near Coos Bay, near Bandon, near Coquille, as we showcase in both films, that area is extremely, extremely active. And we hear reports from folks that we haven't interviewed in the film. And that's Stuart Love's area. That's the area he patrols. He's been doing it for, I don't know, like 20 years or something like that. And I felt like there was like almost kind of, there wasn't an awkwardness, but there was almost kind of this sense that he wanted to be like, okay, guys, all right, but you can't say anything. You know, I kind of felt like there was a little bit of that.
So
You know,
Stan Avery introduced you to Stuart Love, correct?
That's correct. Yes, yes. Stan has had conversations about Bigfoot with Stuart Love, but Stuart would not confirm or deny those conversations.
Interactions, yeah.
But what we had heard was Stuart told Stan more than Stuart was willing to say on camera, which is completely and totally understandable. You know, Stuart's got a job to do. Stuart has a job to, you know, he doesn't want to lose his job. You know, and obviously I'm sure that his bosses and people have probably seen the film by now because his name's been out there and stuff like that. But you know, we know that there are a lot of government folks out there that are forest workers and whatnot that have had Bigfoot sightings. Rich Germo will talk about that a little bit in his interview when he posted. So, you know, I mean,
Rich Germo's going to talk about a lot.
Well, and we found out that there's code names for people that work for the government and the DoD. One of the guys we interviewed was Kyle, the pseudonym Kyle, who said that there was a code named Teddy Bear.
Kyle, I forgot Kyle on the list.
Yeah, Kyle's going to be a good one. So using code names, I know in Cottage Grove, they call Bigfoot salamanders. That was one of the urban legends I learned early on, that when the gold miners come down to Cottage Grove and have a drink, or the lumberjacks, that's the word that was being used by the Bohemian Mining District. Now on here is Psycho Fu, a guy by the name of John Bull, who is the cousin of Todd Bailey, who is Rhonda Moorhead's boyfriend. And so if you can confirm that for me, John, that indeed the people in Cottage Grove call Sasquatch salamanders to save face, that would be epic, because I only heard that from Todd. But teddy bears up here in Washington State and beyond that, Brett, when we were interviewing Kyle, you hopped on your MacBook and you found the official patch off of Fort Lewis had something to do with Bigfoot, did it not? One of the patches?
Yes, yes. So it's the patch for Northwest Command. For
that's on Fairbanks, right?
It's based out of Fort Lewis, and if you like go to Google and you type it, I think I've posted it on our Facebook page before. If you type in Bigfoot military Washington, I'm doing it right now as we speak. The first thing comes up is military.wa.gov, the legend of Bigfoot. And it talks about, this is their National Guard page, but it just talks about how they made Bigfoot their kind of slogan, you know. Also, I've just found an article right now on army.mil, which I've never seen before. The U.S. Army's official page, there's an article about a Bigfoot sighting on the JBLM, Fort Lewis Army Base, which I've not read. So you guys might want to look into this. This is from 2011. But yeah, no, there is, I'm trying to come up with.
What did Chelsea get us teach the Air Force stuff?
Oh, so yeah. So my cousin,
Ready to attack.
Yeah, my cousin lives up in Fairbanks, and his wife is an Air Force colonel up there at Islison. Some of you might be familiar with that. And they have a bombing range out there. And Jill, if you could grab one of those patches down there, they have a bombing range out there that's named after Bigfoot. And yeah,
here.
This is what it looks like.
Oh, that's
which is
sweet.
pretty cool. Yeah, the 354th Operations Group.
Oh,
and it's
that's
kind
awesome.
of a bombing range, and so we got
is that Bigfoot with a missile in his right hand?
With a mortar or a bomb or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like one of those things from Baywatch that Pamela Anderson was running in slow motion.
Yes. It is a flotation device.
It's like Baywatch for Bigfoot.
Sasquatch with a kielbasa.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
So Anyways,
Yeah, so
yeah, what
John
else?
was admitting here that, yeah, indeed they do to save face. They also call them Sallies or wood devils.
Wood devils.
Mm.
I've heard
I've
wood
heard that
devils. I've
before.
never heard Sallies.
Sally's, that's
Well,
interesting.
salamander. I mean,
Oh,
Okay.
maybe it's
okay. There you go.
evolution. Hey, you guys, can we talk about your Coast to Coast AM show on Saturday?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know how we get a hold of the search and rescue guy from Olympia area.
Oh, right. Do you have a
Yes.
name, Brett? What was the name? Do
I,
you remember?
I would have to go back and listen to the recording,
Okay.
but
And you did record that?
well, it's
We're
I'm a Coast insider,
Oh,
and
you
you should be
are.
too.
Are you
Yeah,
on paranormal? Did you and Jill meet on Paranormal Date?
Jill, do you want to tackle that one?
uh,
Okay.
uh.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that
Yeah, I
secret.
hear you. Okay.
Um,
That's where Brett met his other wife. No.
Yeah,
I
Michael
do. I do have
Sarah is his
two
name, John.
wives.
I agree that that dude is an awesome host.
Jason,
I
that's
wish he
right.
was. Yeah.
It was Jason. Yeah, thank you, Pacific Northwest prepper, who is eating juicy turkey right now, probably. Appreciate that. So
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody knows Jason, search and rescue out of Olympia, it would be great to talk to him. He had a wonderful story about a structure that he found with the creepy details of all the deer carcasses around it, which were kind of interesting. But
Right.
yeah, I would definitely like to talk to him. And I keep saying this on podcasts, but we really want to talk to folks who were there after the eruption of Mount St. Helens that may have seen something. Um, and is so if anybody out there knows somebody who knows somebody or anything else, we want to talk to these folks because if nothing else, we'd be happy to interview them and we can put it in a vault for a little while or whatever until they're
Mm. I
ready
think I
for
know who you
release.
could talk to, Brett. I haven't really thought of this till just now, but there is a
Mhm.
name that comes up time and time again that has researched that area, and it's a guy by the name of Cliff Crook.
Okay.
Crook. Cliff was one of the advisors on Harry and the Henderson. He's been around as long as Ron has, as far as into the biz of tracking Squatch and looking to areas. Mount St. Helens is his area. Cliff is probably a retired Bigfooter, but I've been seeing him post quite a bit lately. So, Cliff, if you're listening and you want to get a hold of us, you've maybe seen the documentaries, maybe you have a different point of view, but you and I have corresponded periodically over the last 10 years. And, you know, I think maybe we should reach out to him publicly.
Cool. And I just want to
Yeah.
let everybody know that Michael Ferry has entered the chat. Mike is now on Paranormal Date, which is weird
Yes.
because you're married with two kids.
Well,
Oh
they
no,
that's a
off Paranormal
category
Date.
that's a category now. If you're married with kids and you're a redhead, you can go in and filter that out, and you can find other married redheads with kids, and then it's okay.
I don't know that Mike's a redhead. Are you saying he's a redhead? I think it's more auburn
Is it, Mike? Are you technically have
or
a
kind
little
of
bit of red in
brown.
there? Are you a
I don't
ginger by
know.
nature?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's because he's always wearing those baseball caps.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
D. Mitchell chimes in and says, interesting. I didn't know Cliff Crook was involved in that movie. He was one of the proponents of the Bell theory along with Chris Murphy. I'm not familiar.
What's the Bell
Are you
theory?
familiar with that?
The Bell
Typecasting.
theory. Remind us what that is, Mr. D. Mitchell.
And
We'd be
I
eager to
personally have
know.
not heard the name Cliff Crook.
And I also want to say, David Mitchell has been. Thank you so much for keeping me in the loop on those on the paranormal or parapsychology like webinars and whatnot. Yeah, he just a lot of good information. Well, no, because like he sent me like it's like links like, oh, this is going on, oh, this is oh, you should check this out. And
The
so
idea that Patterson Gimlin was a
oh,
fake suit.
Oh,
what?
gotcha. He was one of the proponents of the Bell theory that it was a fake. Okay. Well, everyone's
Interesting.
entitled. But Cliff was kind of he was in the know as far as Harry and the Henderson special effects too. I mean, he was one of the main guys that looked after that suit. I think that would be interesting to talk to the guy about why he thinks that.
Breaking news: Mike's got a little red in the beard.
See,
So,
come on,
It's that.
it's a
and with
little bit
that,
of
we're
He's
out.
got
That's
Viking blood, man. Come on,
It's,
I can tell
it's
that.
a.
He's Irish. He's got Irish blood.
It's leprechaun
Yeah.
blood.
He does have
Yeah.
Irish in the blood. This is the fairies are. I'm not talking about the boats, people. The fairies are a big family in Ireland, and Mike's got cousins and leprechaun relatives
Oh,
out there in Ireland. That'll be our next venture.
well,
A
let's
flash
tell people a
baby
little bit
leprechaun
about who Mike
killed.
Ferry is and what he's done for this team since he can't be on here. Who is Mike Ferry?
Well, Mike Ferry is the guy that makes everything look pretty. He's the one that puts the lipstick on the pig.
He's my makeup artist.
No, he is not. No, no. Mike is our award-winning cinematographer who we've been working with for years now. I mean,
Mhm.
15, 20 years maybe.
Mhm.
Close to it, actually. I've known Mike now for almost 20 years. And yeah, yeah. We can't say enough good things about Mike. Great travel buddy, even better cinematographer, and just an all-around good guy with an amazing sense
Mhm.
of humor and lots of fun to go on road trips with. So if any of you all ever want to go on a road trip, call up Mike. He's game. Just as long as it involves filming something, though. Otherwise, he might back.
That's what's so
Yeah,
cool about being a newbie here, watching all three of you work together, is that you guys all have your own language. You don't really need to say what needs to be done. You guys are in the process of doing it already when you guys work.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. That's the beauty of it is speaking in shorthand and being able to.
Anticipate and just know
Mhm.
intuitively what to
Mhm.
expect. It's like, and like I, because we've all worked together so much. I mean, on corporate, commercial, and create films and whatnot. Even just the nonverbal, like I can tell when it's like, okay, maybe we should take a break. I'm the as a producer,
Set mom
s-
keeps us rowdy boys in check.
babysitter. It's just kind of, you can tell when something catches their eye and they're like, we need to film this discreetly and not draw attention to ourselves.
Mhm.
I think the best story, and Mike can chime in the chat, but so okay, for the sequel, if you've seen the sequel and you're familiar with Jack's story,
Oh yeah.
we needed Brett was not satisfied with the stock footage of wildlife that he had. He's like, no, it's not right.
It
Mike,
wasn't.
and I'm
It
like,
wasn't
okay.
right, actually.
So he's like, where we filmed the opening scene of the movie up at Port Defiance, there were a bunch of deer hanging out. Let's just go up, and I'm just like, Brett, you want us to drive up there and just think that there's deer, the deer are just gonna like show up on cue. So that's what we did. Me, Mike, Brett hop in the car. And if you followed any of our Facebook posts of what it's like traveling, like when we're on the road, it's Brett driving, Mike in the passenger seat, me in the back, like in this weird cubby hole because there's all this equipment. Um, and we hit the road, and as soon as we pulled into the general area, Brett's like, "Oh, there's a deer." And we're like, I think we made a joke like, "Where are the deer?" And
Yeah.
Brett's like,
Right,
"There's."
right, right.
We're like, "Oh, okay." And we parked the car, got the cameras out, cha-ching, and it was like choreography. That deer performed like on cue if we needed something.
It also didn't hurt that we had a bag of apples. So
Oh.
secret, guys. That deer was being well fed.
It was like a Marty Stouffer wildlife
Yeah,
film.
it was crazy, and it's just so funny that we had that opportunity. But the point of Jill's story is that we are always asking ourselves, how can we do better? How can we improve the movie so that it resonates better with the audience and
Mhm.
makes an emotional impact? And that was an example because the stock footage out there wasn't the right kind of deer.
Mhm.
Granted, I will say this much: what what Jack saw was more of a cream colored deer, more of a whitish deer, and
He called it the white deer.
he called it the white deer. And we weren't able to, with visual effects, really make it a white deer. And rather than it look kind of cruddy, we just stuck with a regular colored deer. So you'll notice that in the interview. But yeah, it was a situation where this deer was completely tame. It was in a park. It was in this big park in Tacoma, and it was completely, totally worth the 4.5 hour round trip drive from Portland or Hillsborough area, was in Vancouver, for us to get the footage that is now in the film, because that deer like knew what was up. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, yeah.
I want to hear more about Cabela's. You guys had a screening in Tualatin, right?
We did. We had an amazing screening, and a lot of we have to give big thanks to Todd Neese for setting that up. He's been a huge cheerleader for us for both films, especially the second film. He at Forks, when we were screening The Work in Progress, he pulled me aside. He's like, "This one's better than the first," and it was still pretty rough. If you were there at Forks, it was kind of a special sneak sneak peek, I guess, of a work in progress. But we had Cabela's in Tualatin has an amazing like conference center area. We had people sticking their heads in uh, right before the screening.
Shoppers, yeah, just
People who were shopping, like, oh, what's going on? Because they were announcing it over the intercom. And this guy's like, he's like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, well, we're doing a screening book. I did the whole spiel. And he's like, yeah. He's like, how long is it? I'm like, it's about an hour and a half. And he's like, I have to go check some traps. And I was like, oh, okay. It's Cabela's.
He literally said that. That's the truth.
He's like,
That's
like,
awesome.
I've shaken your hand, but I've got like coyote grease or something to do with coyote traps all over his hand. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you don't need to convince me. I know they're real. I've tracked their prints 6 miles deep in the snow and they disappear. I'm just like, oh, well, have you experienced anything really weird, paranormal? And he's like, oh, like the lights in the sky that happen at the same time. And I was like, let me go get a business card. And he's like, I've got enough stuff to write a book and I'll be contacting you. And I was talking to one of the Cabela employees afterwards. I was like, yeah, some guy just popped his head in. He's like, oh, no, he's like the real deal. He's in here all the time. He's like one of the top, like, I know nothing of this world, but he's like a trapper, but he's a well-known trapper. And he's like, yeah, if he says it, it's real. And the guy helping us set up the screening at Cabela's, I was like, so what do you think? Do you believe in Bigfoot? He whips out his phone. He's like, this is what I recorded at 2 a.m.
In the Mount Hood National Forest, yeah.
And yeah, full on howls that not a coyote, not a bear, not a woman in distress.
Everybody give a shout out to Farouk. Farouk has tuned in under the pseudonym
Silverback Titan. Wow,
that's
dude.
Farouk.
Best name.
What's up, Farouk? Thanks for chiming in. We were just talking about you. So either you had been chimed in all along and you heard us, or there was some sort of electricity in the air. And yeah, we were talking about what interviews that we were going to be posting in the future. And I was talking about how excited I am to post your interview and how unfortunately we can't put all of the amazing stuff into an hour and a half documentary. So I think people are going to love your interview, which is funny because a lot of these interviews people don't have a lot of backstory to. And Farouk's particular interview we shot like literally right off the freeway in San Antonio, and
on a bench next to the Marriott.
Yeah,
it was next to like the hotel.
Yeah. And what was awesome about that was we're literally like down the street from like a Whataburger and a McDonald's, and there's a deer walking through the woods in the background, and we're like totally setting up the camera. And I think this is before Farouk arrived, and I'm like, whoa, there's a deer here out in this urban area. And so I got footage of the deer, and I put footage of the deer in the in some of the night scenes with Rick Taylor in the sequel. So you'll see a deer walking by, and that's literally like off the interstate in San Antonio. And that's all the secrets I'm going to give up tonight because now we're blowing our cover. Yeah.
Hey, and to everybody who's tuned in here, if you can, a lot of people are watching these videos on the YouTube channel, but hit that subscribe button and then share the videos online too. That'll help, grow the channel, produce more content for us, do stuff like this. This is really cool, by the way, because now the audience can interact with these guests that we've had on here already. And that's kind of a first for us. We haven't really offered that to people to reach out.
Yeah, and we also want to hear from you guys because your voice is important in what we do. We want to know, again, like we were talking about earlier, what interview would you like to see next?
Hmm.
Aside from anything from the new film, we're going to wait a little while to put that out there to avoid spoilers. And then Farouk, we love you too. Thank you, man. You are the best. And Farouk has got really cool cars, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there. He's got like this really amazing car. Um, but yeah, we want to hear from you guys. So the more feedback, whether it's on Facebook or we'll try and do these chats on a more regular basis as we start building this YouTube channel. um but never be afraid to reach out to us because I don't think there's a message that we don't read or don't respond to.
Hmm.
um because this is a community that all wants the same result, right? We all want
Hmm.
to find more evidence of Bigfoot. I mean, I feel like so many of us here have quote unquote found Bigfoot. Scientific proof be damned. We know we are. Some of us are believers, some of us are knowers, but nonetheless, we are all out there to you know let people know that there's an amazing being out there in our wilderness that is just awesome. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. And Farouk now actually has a huge truck and not a car. And a huge truck.
Yeah. What does he mean? He's overwhelmed by fake AI photos.
Oh, I think maybe
Uh,
he's talking about some of the fake AI photos that have been surfacing
okay.
on Bigfoot. Like this one, there was this one that had gone around. It was supposedly from 1981. It was a
Oh,
found this in a mason jar
yeah
in
game
Georgia.
game camera from Washington.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the AI stuff.
Someone pulled a still from a Flash of Beauty Bigfoot revealed of in Southern Oregon of the trail cam where we compare the deer, and they slapped on a Fox News thing and said it was
Oh.
out of Kentucky. And then I messaged the guy. I'm like, "This is from our movie. Maybe somebody should let someone know." And then people are like, "You
Hmm.
people, don't you look at the photos? Because down, like in the microscopic corner,
Hmm.
there is some like AI generator, but it's like you
Oh.
wouldn't. It was buried. You wouldn't see it." And I'm like, "Really?"
Well, so here's my question to you, Jill and Brett and Mike. For any hoax video or photo that is online, or stage photo or video, isn't it possible that, let's just say, Google image would have a way to discern whether or not that's fake, right? I mean, because it can grab that and go into the algorithm and say, I recognize this portion of this video, or I recognize the pixel density. It's isn't there a program out there that can discern this for you, or like an AI detective or a hoax detector?
Should.
I think there is that technology. Yes, that's
Okay.
the short answer to your question. There is that technology. However, I don't know about that particular image, and I don't know much
Okay.
about how the technology works. But look at it this way: it's just like anything else in the world. The better the AI technology gets, the better the anti AI technology is going to get because we just need, and especially with the announcements of QStar. Now I'm getting really technical, but QStar is artificial general intelligence, which, if you guys look it up, it's literally the Q and then the star symbol on your keyboard. Artificial general intelligence is more or less digital God. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely positively insane. And many computer researchers were thinking that it wouldn't be discovered or found until potentially as late as 2040. And supposedly chat gtp folks have discovered it and have figured out how to work. I know that Farouk would probably know more about this than me, but the point that I'm making is that we are going to see more of this. It's going to turn into video. AI seems to be
Mm,
doubling about every 3 to 6 months as far as its speed and intelligence is concerned. But we need to think. We need to continue to think outside the box, and we need to kind of think about how AI can aid us in the search for Bigfoot. And we had a conversation with Scott, the in charge of Bigfoot Mapping Project, about this on our podcast, which you guys should check out, about how maybe we could use AI to maybe predict sightings based on patterns of sightings in
mm,
areas. Um, and so that could end up being a thing right now too, or a thing in the future, I should say. So there are benefits, there are drawbacks, but one of the drawbacks are if it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. I mean, you're gonna start seeing close-up shots with eyes that look real, individual hairs that look real. People are gonna put a trail cam filter on it. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
so there's got to be a backstory. Just be suspicious of anything that you see online that doesn't have a backstory to it, that doesn't have a person standing next to it saying,
Right.
my name is Joe and I found this, on my trail cam, and here's my trail cam. The stuff that
Mm,
we're trying to do in our films where we're trying to back it up,
mm.
as much as possible. So it's
But
it's a
photos
wild
are going
ride.
to be easier to hoax than videos, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
But that may not be the truth for much longer. Um it's I you things could be absolutely totally wild in 2 years or 3 years. And then all bets are off in
Mm,
5 years.
We'll
But
all have the microchips in our brains
yeah,
by then.
I've been told by a very, very knowing, credible source that the aliens will be here in 2026. And that came from the top, one of the guys in the know at the DoD has has told just a few people, and I got this from someone,
mhm.
that extraterrestrials will be here and announce themselves in 2026. So just prepare yourselves. I'll just say that, and then maybe Bigfoot will come along with that. So I just dropped a
I
bomb. I'm sorry. I don't
yeah.
know. It may not be true.
I mean, I keep harping on this, but I think it's so important for this community to embrace the UFO conundrum and the slow trickle of release because it's a controlled demolition that we're witnessing right now of your own worldview. If what they're saying, the likes of David Grush, this Army intelligence officer who's saying that we have this complicated history with back engineering crashed UFOs or delivered UFOs. It absolutely is the gateway of how they're going to discern information if we're all around to hear it, discern information on Sasquatch. And, when you go to conferences and you hear the likes of these respectable apers that talk about Bigfoot, that work at universities and run museums, they're also breathing the same language of the UFO disclosure in a way that you may not know that or appreciate. But I think they're doing it for the fact that they're watching and seeing how this is all getting laid out because the same kind of laws, the same kind of papers, the testimonies being given. I mean, we're talking about something very akin to the alien conundrum, even if you don't believe that it's supernatural or paranormal. Would you guys agree?
Totally agree. Totally agree. And it's like I think it's all a mindset. The supernatural, the paranormal is all a mindset, and we're trying to say that in our. And I think we're with what Dr. Simeon Hine has to say, there is a science behind all of this stuff, and that's why we're saying the paranormal is normal, because it's all of this wacky weird stuff that we're seeing with UFOs and aliens and stuff is just it's future technology, which means it's future science. What we don't know is we don't know how many years ahead it is. It could be thousands, could be millions. We have zero idea. And it boggles my mind to think that like some of these bodies that are being uncovered in South America right now could be from beings that are they died 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 years ago, and they could have been from beings that were
Mm,
already 20,000 years ahead of where we are right now today. So your mind kind of starts going through this time warp. I do want to
mm,
answer a question real quick. David Mitchell says, serious question, Brad. Did you source say which ETs? No, they did not say which ETs. But what I can say is that, and I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but a few years ago, the former defense minister for Israel, which, as everybody knows, Israel is one
Is
of the
that
best defenses in the world. So this guy's not Looney Tunes. He's not off his rocker. He came out
Avi
and said that
Loeb?
there was a galactic federation of extraterrestrials. And we've heard that from many, many people, that there's a galactic federation of extraterrestrials. And the fact of the matter is if they were going to kill us, they probably would have done it by now. But that doesn't mean that some of them are malevolent, some of them are benevolent. We have no idea what they need, what they want. All indications are that some of them have been living here for maybe as long as we have, and they're living underground, or they're living in Antarctica, or commercial jets are not allowed, period, to fly over Antarctica. You can look that
Mm.
up. So why not? It's kind of a shortcut. Planes fly over North Pole all the time.
That's a segue into all sorts of other words.
Anyways, I'm going off the deep end, you guys. Some of this is rumor, conjectures, stuff I've read. Everybody needs to do their own research and figure out their own self.
And they can do that if they scan this barcode. So if you have a smartphone or you want to do a screen grab, this will take you to a Flash of Beauty Paranormal Bigfoot and a Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed merch, movies, and oh so much more. All you got to do is embrace a QR code once in a while. Check out this at the Linktree site. Type in Linktree and then type after Linktree a Flash of Beauty. That's all you have to type. Linktree space a Flash of Beauty, and it'll come right up. You'll go right to the hub of all this good action.
Yeah, you guys check it out. So we've been online for about an hour now, so I think we're going to wrap it up here real quick. I see a couple more comments. David Mitchell, Flash of Beauty. So you all know there are folks with PhDs who you didn't interview who really enjoy your work. Keep it up. Wow, that's
amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. And yeah, and then Farouk says the two-star admiral in World War II. That would be Admiral Byrd. That's correct, David. So hey guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. We super duper duper appreciate your support. We cannot say that enough. Jill can say it again.
Oh yeah, and our interview just dropped today with Jim Harold on the Cryptid Report, so you can find that link at Jim Harold Cryptid Report, or go to the link on my Facebook page, Tobe Johnson, and hear more about a Flash of Beauty.
You guys, thank you again.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Now, how do I turn this doggone
We're gonna
thing
be
off?
on forever.